guys, this week, again, another week, and we found out that another foreign prisoner has just simply walked out of prison. Now, I ask you, should we just give these prisoners, when they walk into prison, a set of keys and 500 quid and tell them to be on their way whenever they feel like it, Charlotte?
Well, in a way, that would actually save money because they cost us a fortune being in prison. This guy, the Algerian that escaped, he was picked up 5 years ago for overstaying his visa. And they just waited for him to commit a crime, which he did 4 years later, and then again more recently, once for sexual offences and once for trying to steal, basically. Anyway, so what they do is they let them run free, then they wait for them to get caught, and then they put them in prison, at which point they cost us a fortune because we're obviously paying for their upkeep in prison. I mean, the whole thing is a joke. Why not just chuck him out 4 years ago when we realised he'd overstayed his visa?
Yes. Has Labour lost control of our prison system, Benjamin?
No, but there is little doubt that it wasn't under control when they were handed the keys.
Oh, here we go again. We're talking about today, the present, Benjamin.
Yeah, and of course it's a mess, but the fact is that, 18 months ago, they inherited a prison system where you could count on your fingers the number of vacant prison cells that there were going to be across the whole country. Now, that is an incredibly reckless situation, and that's not just my claim. Alex Chalk, who was the Conservatives' Justice Secretary at the time of the last election, said that that's how bad things got. And so if you've got a situation where there's no cells, staff have pretty bad pay and really bad conditions by the sound of it, it's no wonder that mistakes happen when you have that set of scenarios.
He's making some silly excuses there.
That is quite a ridiculous excuse. It is a systemic failure, obviously. One thing that really worries me about this Algerian is that what has he been doing for 4 years? Because he's overstayed his visa, so he can't work. So these people can't work. So is it a surprise that he ends up breaking with cause to steal? Because obviously he has to steal because he's got no way of making a living. And the authorities have known about this all along. He's not here legally. He can't work. The whole thing is a complete joke from start to finish.
Benjamin, when we catch these people, do you think we should just boot them straight out of the country?
I think if they've got a criminal record, especially a repeat criminal record, then that probably makes sense. But let's note that the Labour government is changing the rules so that it's a much shorter prison sentence that can make you eligible for being deported. I think it'll be, at the moment, it's 12 months, I think, and they're going to make that shorter, which is the right thing to do. I don't know why we let people stay here who've committed offences serious enough that you go to prison. But then on the flip side, the idea someone that moved here at 4 years old and then, gets caught nicking Mawams from a local corner shop, should you kick them out? No, that would be ridiculous.
Your personal data could be exposed right now without you even knowing it. And if you want it removed, use incogni.com/GB News in the description now and get 60% off an annual plan on us. Incogni reach out to the data brokers on your behalf and request that your information be deleted from their databases. And they'll keep sending removal requests to make sure your data stays gone. Sometimes your information ends up on strange, obscure websites that automated tools just can't reach. And that's why Incogni just launched their unlimited plan with a feature called Custom Removals. With this, you can submit any link where your personal information appears, literally paste in the URL, and their privacy team will investigate and work to get it removed. And getting started is super easy. Hit the link in the description, create an Incogni account, and tell them whose data you want removed. Grant them permission to work on your behalf, and then all you've got to do is sit back and relax. They'll keep you updated along the way. Incogni is totally risk-free for 30 days. If you try it, it's not for you, you'll get a full refund. So take back control of your personal data today with Incogni. Use our code GBNews at checkout via the link in the description, and you'll get 60% off an annual plan.
But you say that, Benjamin, but I was always taught that prevention is better than cure. And we've seen a great article just this week by Alison Pearson in The Telegraph, if anybody has read it, that some of these caseworkers that are assessing the asylum claims are having that much pressure put on them that they are allowing wrong-uns to get asylum status. And when I'm talking about wrongs, I'm talking about people that's committed crimes in other countries, people that's been caught doing all sorts of horrible sex acts near children's playgrounds and stuff like that. Isn't that the root of the problem?
Do you know Amber Rudd, who was Home
No, answer the question.
Well, I was just
you're going back to Amber Rudd.
No, I was
answer
gonna
the
say,
question for today, please.
Well, this is the answer. Amber, if you listen, you might learn something for once, Lee. Amber
How
Rudd,
rude.
Who was
How rude.
She was the Home Secretary in a party that you supported. It's hard to keep track, but you did at the time. And she said no one goes into the Home Office to kick people out of the country. And I thought,
well, I would.
Maybe they should, because
I would, definitely.
Some of these people deserve to be kicked out. But, you know, what I don't like is this sort of demonising that everybody who comes to Britain is somehow like these bad apples. They're not. The vast majority of people are the ones that are working through the nights, getting a bus at 4 a.m. to clear the offices that most people
We're not talking about those, Benjamin. You see, you're making excuses again. I bet there's some people watching this would like to see you booted out of the country, making ridiculous comments like that. Let's come back to some common sense, Charlotte.
But this is my worry. It's not the working, people that have come over here and that are working. It's the people that come over here illegally, and so they can't work, and so inevitably they commit a crime. Then they go into the prison system, cost us a fortune. This Algerian had indecently exposed himself and was doing community service as well as going to prison. And there's always often there's some sort of sexual element to this as well, which really troubles me. And often they've committed some sort of sexual crime back in their home country and then have escaped. Yeah. You know, there are a lot of bad apples. We can't just say occasionally there are bad apples. The numbers speak for themselves.
Benjamin?
Well, what are the numbers in that case? Because I don't think it's a significant proportion of people that migrate here. But clearly we have...
It doesn't matter, Benjamin. If it's just one person, it's too many.
But that's an easy... Of course, one person is too many. But the question is, what do you do? And I think the idea that you would collapse an economy by not having any immigrants would be a ridiculous conclusion. Well, then what are you saying?
We're saying... I'll say, and I'll come to Charlotte, that anybody arriving here illegally should be detained and then deported. It would stop it immediately, Charlotte.
Yeah, and not put into prison, which is what they're doing. Their holding pattern is put them into prison for several months and then try and deport them. What happened with the Ethiopian was he said, at the very last minute, when he was being deported, and actually had asked to be deported, this is the crazy thing, he was then given £500 because they were trying to discourage him from making a last-minute asylum claim. And £500 is a year's salary in Ethiopia. I mean, the system is broken when you're paying people who are already begging to be deported and have already committed a crime, begging to be deported, having escaped from prison. The whole thing is just madness.
Hold on, it's like, didn't exactly escape though, did he? He went back to the prison 4 or 5 times and asked to be locked up and deported. Yeah,
he was actually begging to be put back in prison. He went even to a library when the prison refused to take him back in 5 times. Yeah. And then he was paid to be deported, even though he already wanted to be deported.
It's madness, Benjamin, surely.
Well, clearly, you know, some of that is mad. The idea that he stands at the door 3 or 4 times asking to be allowed in is ridiculous. But, you know, these attacks on David Lammy as Justice Secretary, it's nothing more than cancel culture. The people who were responsible for these mistakes are people we don't know the names of, who work in places like Wandsworth Prison, who let them out, not the person in Whitehall. And I think trying to have this constant merry-go-round of ministers will not fix the problem. We need someone as capable and intelligent as David Lammy to stay on board and fix.
Oh dear, let me have a drink. Can you just repeat that, please? You're all right. Let me just fan you there. Can you repeat that? As intelligent and competent as who?
He's a Harvard law scholar, right? He's one of the most intelligent people in the country. And the idea, it's ridiculous. You're just becoming into cancel culture. The idea that someone in Whitehall, you know, made the mistake of someone in a prison on the other side of London. Obviously, it's not directly their mistake. But what you need is someone intelligent to fix those systems and probably to fire some of the people that let them out.
Benjamin Butterworth, I'll give him his due. He's actually saying this with a straight face. He's not grinning. There's no movement there. He doesn't actually believe this, does he?
You can't believe that he did a good job at the dispatch box this week.
Did David Lammy unlock the cell?
Benjamin, please reduce your aggressive attitude and let Charlotte speak.
Oh, yeah. What did he say? What did he say at the dispatch box?
We didn't say anything.
Get a grip, man. Yeah. Get a grip, man.
Or get a grip, woman.
No, I have to say, I think David Lammy's performance at the dispatch box was not a deterrent, you know, because actually the buck stops with him. So anyone further down the system, the people in the prisons, the people handling the paperwork, the admin that went awry, all those people are looking to PMQs and saying, this guy's not going to shoulder any blame. Why should we shoulder any blame?
We can let this prisoner out. It doesn't matter. Lammy's in charge.
Yeah, and he's not annoyed about it.
But the mistake would be whoever made these mistakes, The idea that they would remain in a job so that you have other politicians to talk about on television programmes, that's not accountability. That's misdirecting where the blame lies. It's David Lammy's responsibility to fix the structures. Now, he's been in that job for a matter of weeks. He's not responsible for how this came about. But the people that actually did it, they should be fired or suspended, not the politician in government.
Is Lammy doing a good job?
No, I don't think. Certainly not at the dispatch box. He couldn't string a sentence together. He didn't wear a poppy. He went and got a suit, even though he should have been addressing this very important issue of the Algerian being on the loose. He wouldn't even acknowledge that the Algerian was on the loose. It was just a terrible performance.
Just complete pantomime, Benjamin.
Well, it is getting close to Christmas, but I don't think it's a pantomime. David Lammy hasn't really had any chance to do the brief of Justice Secretary after a matter of weeks, and he's clearly got a mountain to climb, but I can think of few people better placed to do it than a Harvard law scholar like David Lammy.
And that just shows you, Charlotte, what a terrible place we're in at the moment.
Yeah, it's so depressing because really all he had to do was answer the question he was asked 5 times and be honest and say, look, there is something happening. I can't really talk about it right now, but we think there is another prisoner.
Well, that's enough of that, guys. We're going inside the clinic next. I might take Benjamin Butterworth with me, actually, because I think he needs some treatment. But we're going inside the clinic with Dr. Armah Khan.